This tutorial is for Clue 3 of the Connote pattern by Jenica Carter, which is the 2025 year-long mystery crochet-along pattern from Expression Fiber Arts. A few housekeeping things before we start. First of all, this is going to be the last clue I work using the CashSilk Sock and the Dewy DK, so both the fingering weight yarn and the thicker yarn, unless if you drop me a note in the comment, if you say, hey, I really would prefer to still see it on the CashSilk Sock, let me know. It's not going to make it into the Clue 4 video because that's already done, but I can add it back in the Clue 5 video and beyond if people really want to see it. I just feel like the whole purpose of the tutorial is so that you can see the stitches, see how they're made, see where they go. And it's really hard to see that on the CashSilk Sock. And actually doing that does require a lot more editing. So I'm happy to do it if people want it. At this point, it kind of feels like it's extra that doesn't need to be there. So there are timestamps down in the video description. You can just jump to the rows you want to watch, skip the stuff you don't want to watch. Clue 3 is really straightforward. It's a bunch of rows of single crochet and basically one pattern row. It kind of seems like two pattern rows because technically you're working into the pattern row following the pattern row, so you have to be sure you're working in the right place. But other than that, it's just one row of patterning and multiple rows of single crochet over and over and over again. So it's really straightforward, but again, you can use the timestamps to jump to the parts you want to watch, skip the parts you don't want to watch, and let's get started. Okay, so Clue 3 is actually really straightforward. It is mostly single crochet. There are basically, really there's one pattern row, and then there's a row that seems like it's a pattern row out of the eight rows. One of them is a true pattern row. One of them seems like it because you're actually working into the pattern stitches from the previous row, but really it's just another row of single crochet. You just have to make sure you're putting your single crochet in the correct place. So I'm not going to work on camera a bunch of rows of single crochet. Those are very straightforward. You will be able to do them without my help. But I am going to work the pattern rows and the edge transitions for you. So when you worked your Clue 2, if you went down a hook size so that the edges of your pattern would stay straight, you're probably going to want to go back up a hook size, so whatever you worked Clue 1 with, to do your Clue 3, because Clue 3 does pull in, and so in order to get the width to remain the same, you're going to want to go up a hook size probably. So at the end of Clue 2, you will have worked, you should be finishing on a row 5 and 6. So row 5 is the long double crochet rows, and then row 6, you're just working a single crochet back across the wrong side of the piece. So then when you start Clue 3, you're going to continue with your color B. So you have these two rows of color B that you've already worked, your long double crochet row and the single crochet. And then you start Clue 3 with another row of single crochet also in your color B, and then turn to the wrong side and work single crochet back across. So this is row 2 of Clue 3. And then the only change is here at the very last stitch, you're going to transition to your color C. So when I do this transition, I actually lock in my color C as well. You can just make the stitch and do the final yarn over pull through the loops on the hook with your color C. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the stitch. I'm going to grab my color C, and I'm actually going to I'm going to bring it underneath my color B, and I'm just going to drape it over the hook with the tail to my left. And then I'm going to take my color B, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through the stitch. And what that's going to do is it's just going to kind of trap my color C right here. It's just going to kind of give that tail a little bit of an anchor so that it's not so loose when I actually do drop my color B, pick up my color C, and do that final yarn over and pull through. And so it just makes that tail a little bit more secure and kind of hides the edge of the tail toward the back of the work instead of having it hanging out here in the front. All right, so row 3 of Clue 3 is actually just another single crochet row, so you don't need to really watch me do that. So I'm just going to single crochet across here real quick, and we'll do row 4, which is the actual pattern row. You may notice here that my swatch is a little bigger and a different color than the swatch that I had in clues 1 and 2. And the reason for that is actually clue 4. I needed a different size swatch for that, so I was just going to start over again. And because I have a limited number of colors that actually show up well on camera, most of my colors tend to be darker colors that either bleed on the camera or just are too dark to show the stitches. So I wanted to start, since I'm not demonstrating those clues that I've already finished, I figured I'd use some of my darker color on that. My color A now is a darker color that would not show up well if I were actually making the pattern stitches with that color. So that is why the bigger swatch and the different colors, in case you're wondering. All right, so when we get to the end of our row 3, we're just going to begin row 4. So chain 1, turn to the back, and row 4 is our main pattern row. So this is the row that has actual patterning. Row 5 seems like it has patterning just because we're being directed to work into specific stitches, and I will work row 5 as well, but it is mostly single crochet. Actually, so is this. But so row 4, we begin after our chain 1 and turn. We work 4 single crochets. So single crochet into each of the first 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to work our 5 double crochet cluster, which is it's going to form a bobble. So yarn over the hook, insert it into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that 5 times. So yarn over the hook, insert into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over the hook, into the stitch, that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you'll have 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 5 loops on the hook, and then we'll do this one more time. Yarn over the hook, into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and you'll have a total of 6 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, and then do a chain 1, and that's going to close that. Then when you come down to make this next stitch, what it's going to do is it's basically going to fold that in half, and it's going to push that to the front. So after our bobble, we are going to work a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So that's kind of our pattern repeat. We make that bobble, and then we do a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So that first stitch that's right up next to the bobble might be a little tight. You want to make sure you're actually going into the very next stitch and not skipping a stitch here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we do our pattern repeat. So we do the 5 double crochet cluster, yarn over the hook, into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, over the hook, into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. At this point, you should have 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 6 loops, and then work a chain 1 to close that bobble. And then we're going to make a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. Again, making sure you get to that stitch that's right next to that bobble you just made. 1, 2, 3, 4. That repeat again. We're going to make that bobble, that 5 double crochet cluster. So yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You should have a total of 6 loops on your hook. yarn over, pull through all 6, and then chain 1 to close, and then 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're just going to complete your row by working this pattern repeat again. So the 5 double crochet cluster, make sure you do that chain 1 to close it, and then 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochet cluster, chain 1 to close, and then you're going to finish out your row by working the last 4 stitches. You're going to do a single crochet in each one. 1, 2, 3, and then this last stitch you're going to be switching back to your color B yarn. And so if you want to continue carrying your yarn up the edge, go ahead and go into the stitch with your hook. Bring the color B yarn over your hook from right to left, and then yarn over, pull through with color C, and then drop color C and yarn over, pull through 2 with color B. And then if you look from the front, so that'll carry your color B up. It'll hide even better after you've worked another row with the color B, but basically it's going to hide that carried yarn in the color B right here, instead of having a large loop coming up over the edge. All right, so that's the end of row 4. Oh, I should show you. So at the end of row 4, this is what you should have. You'll have your little bobbles, and then the 4 single crochets between each one, and 4 single crochets at either edge. All right, so row 5 kind of seems like a pattern row, and that's because instead of just working a single crochet in every stitch across, we have to work into a specific stitch on the bobble. So start with your chain 1, turn to the front, and then you're going to work 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and then your 4th single crochet is going to be right up next to the bobble. It might be a little tight, so just make sure you get into that single crochet that is at the right edge of each bobble. And then so I'm going to turn my work, I'm going to kind of flip it here so you can see the back where the bobble is, where the 5 double crochet cluster is. So if you look at the back of this cluster, you see that it actually has a little stitch and a big stitch. All right, so we have this beginning of the stitch where we started the cluster, and then we have this stitch right here where we closed the cluster with the chain. So the designer has stated it does not matter which of these stitches you work into, you just want to be consistent and use the same one for each time you hit one of these bobbles. I would recommend this larger stitch because it's easier to get into. This is actually your chain stitch that you use to close the cluster. And so if you try to work into this, it's going to be something that's a little bit difficult to get into each time. So you're going to have to kind of force it over your hook because it's small. So it's not going to look different if you work into this larger stitch on the left side of the cluster. It's just, you just want to make sure you're doing it in the same spot each time so it doesn't make the row look uneven. So I'm going to be working into the larger stitch. You can work into whichever stitch you want. All right, so After the 4 single crochets, we're going to work the single crochet into the back of the cluster stitch, and that begins our repeat. So the single crochet into the 5 double crochet cluster. When we do that, that's the beginning of the repeat, and then we do 4 single crochets. So again, the single crochet, that the stitch that's right next to your cluster is going to be really close to it, so you want to make sure you don't miss it. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is going to be right up next to the next cluster, and you don't want to miss that either. So that's 4. All right, so that repeat again, work the single crochet into the back of the 5 double crochet cluster, and then 4 single crochets. The first one's going to be right next to the cluster. 1, 2, 3, and then that 4th one is going to be directly to the right of the next cluster. So that pattern repeat again, single crochet into the 5 double crochet cluster, and then work 4 single crochets. So the first one's going to be directly to the left of the cluster, right up next to it. 1, 2, 3, and 4 is going to be directly to the right of the next cluster. 5. So that repeat again, single crochet into the 5 double crochet cluster. 1, and then work 4 single crochets. So the first one again is directly to the left of the cluster, right up there next to it, very close. 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one is very close on the right side of the next cluster. 4. And then when you get to the end of the row, you'll have one more repeat. So single crochet into the 5 double crochet cluster, and then 4 more single crochets right up next to the cluster on the left side of that cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is the end of row 5. So now you have a row of your color B above your row that has the bobbles. All right, so rows 6, 7, and 8, and then the repeats of rows 1 and 2 are again just single crochet. So you start with chain 1, turn, and then single crochet across. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. You're just going to work a single crochet in each stitch. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. All right, so when you get to the end of the row, you're going to switch back to your color C. So if you want to hide that at the edge, again, insert your hook into the last stitch, grab your color C and just drape it over the hook from right to left. And then with color B, yarn over and pull through, and then switch to your color C, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is what it should look like at the end of your row 6. And you can see now that I've worked a full set with the carried yarn here at the edge from where I carried the color B up, that it hides really nicely here at the edge instead of leaving that big loop on the outside edge. And it'll happen, the same thing will happen here with my color C. So rows 7 and 8, you're just going to single crochet across the front for row 7 with your color C, and then single crochet across the back with your color C, changing back to color B at the end of row 8. So I'll meet you at the end of row 8. So at the end of row 8, and really at the end of each of your single crochet rows on the wrong side, when you're switching colors, you're just basically going to go into the last stitch. If you want to, you can just carry your colors normal, but if you want to do this kind of invisible edge transition, you're going to take the color that after you go into the stitch, take the color you're transitioning to and just drape it over the hook from right to left, yarn over with the current color and pull through, and then drop the current color and pick up the color you're switching to and do the yarn over and pull through to at the end. So this is what it should look like after you've worked the full 8 pattern rows one time. You'll have your color B stripe here at the end of clue 2, and then you'll have another color B stripe at the beginning of clue 3, and then you'll have your stripe of color C with the bobbles in it, and then another stripe of color B, and then a stripe of color C. So you're just going to repeat that. You're going to have a stripe of color B, the bobble stripe, color B, color C stripe. So every other stripe of color C is what's going to have the bobbles in it. So once you've completed a pattern repeat, this is what you should have once you've finished a repeat of clue 3. Again, you have your color B stripe, your color C stripe with bobbles, another color B stripe, and then another color B stripe color C stripe that's plain. So you're just going to repeat that over and over again. Each time you do a set with the bobbles, that will end up, when you get to the color C stripe after that, that'll be one repeat of, or one set of the pattern, the clue 3 pattern rows. So you should have a total of 5 sets of bobbles, and then your color C stripe above that. Then to finish out the pattern, you're just going to work one more row 1 and 2. So that's just single crochet across with your color B one more time across the front and one more time across the back. So once you've completed clue 3, obviously you'll have more sets of rows with the bobbles, total of 5 sets going up, but then your last row, or your last 2 rows, should be in your color B, and at the end of that final row you do need to switch to your color C, and at that point you can fasten off, break, cut your color B. We won't be working with that anymore. We're gonna, when we move on to clue 4, we'll continue with color C. So that's pretty much it. Clue 3 is pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot to it. So hope that helps. Okay. So at the end of clue 2, after you work the repeated sections, you are going to finish by working another row 5 and row 6. So row 5 is the long double crochet row, and then row 6 you're just going to work single crochets back to the beginning. So that's where clue 2 ends, is with your color B at the beginning of the right side, or rather at the right side of the front, which is also the right side of your work. So clue 3 really only has one pattern row to it, and all of the other 8 rows are simply single crochet rows that at the end of each wrong side row you're going to change to the other color of yarn. So at this point you can cut your color A. You're just going to be going on with your color B. So you're going to start clue 3, which is the chain 1. Obviously turn to the front of your work if you were still at the back. Turn to front, and then you're just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way across. If you went down a hook size for your clue 2 to keep the width of your project correct, you may want to go back up a hook size when you work clue 3. This one does pull in a little bit, and so if you stay down at the smaller hook size, you may find that your project is getting narrower when you work clue 3. So you may want to go back up to whatever hook size you used for clue 1 to work clue 3. All right, so at the end of row 1, we're just going to chain 1, turn to the back, and then we're going to single crochet back across. When you get to the end of the row, we're just going to add in our color C. All right, so when we work this last stitch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch. I'm going to grab my color C here, and just drape it over the hook with a nice long tail. And then I'm going to yarn over with my color B, pull through, and that's going to just kind of secure that right there. And then I'll drop my color B, and I'm going to pick up my color C in front of my color B, and do the final yarn over and pull through 2. So it kind of just secures the new color at the edge a little bit easier, and so you don't have this first stitch pulling out quite as easily. And go ahead and do a chain 1 and turn to the front to begin row 3. So row 3, we're going to again single crochet across in each stitch all the way to the end. All right, so at the end of row 3 you'll have this wider stretch of color B. It's basically 4 rows of your color B here, and then the 1 row of color C. So to begin row 4, chain 1, turn to the back. All right, and this is, so row 4 is our pattern row. It's where we're going to be working the bobbles. So we're going to begin we're working 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the next stitch, we're going to work the 5 double crochet cluster. So to do this, you're going to yarn over the hook, insert it into the next stitch, and then yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, insert it in the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, insert it back into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, insert it back into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have 5 loops on your hook, and then do this one more time. Yarn over the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you should have 6 loops remaining on your hook, so you're going to yarn over and pull through all 6, and then work a chain 1 to close that cluster. And then we're going to work a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So that first one may feel like it's a little tight because it's up next to that cluster. Just make sure you get right next to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's do that 5 double crochet cluster again. So yarn over the hook, insert it into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, back into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, back into the same stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you should have 6 loops remaining on the hook, so you're going to yarn over, pull through all 6, and then chain 1 to close that, and then single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so when I do the 5 double crochet clusters, I kind of think to myself, yarn over and into the stitch. So I yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 1, and then when I do this again, so yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 2. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 3. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 4. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 5. So you can stop when you have the 6 loops remaining on the hook after you do the final yarn over, pull through 2. Then yarn over, pull through all 6 loops and chain 1 to close. and then a single crochet in each of the next single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and then your last cluster is you're going to have 5 stitches remaining to the end. So that last cluster, and then 4 more single crochets. So one more time, yarn over the hook, into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 6, chain 1 to close, and then to finish out the row, when you get there, you're just going to have 4 more single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and then when I do this 4th, I'm going to catch my other color at the edge so that I can, so it'll be a neater transition. So I'll go into the stitch, I'm going to bring my color B up and drape it over the hook, and then go ahead and do my yarn over and pull through with my color C, drop my color C, and do the final yarn over, pull through 2 with my color B. Right, you can kind of tighten down your C if you need to. So that is what it should look like on the front when you get to the end of row 4. So row 5, you're just going to be working, you're still going to be doing single crochets. You just, when you get to the bobbles, we'll talk about where to work those single crochets. So row 5, begin with the chain 1, turn to the front, and then you're going to work 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then number 4 is going to be kind of up here next to, instead of being straight across, it's going to be almost slanted up into that bobble. So just make sure you get into that stitch. So that's 4. And then, so there has been a question, where do you place the single crochet that goes into the back of the bobble? Because technically there are 2 stitches back here. So if you look really carefully, at the back of your work, you have this stitch here, which is right up next to that single crochet that you just worked. And then you have this larger, so you have the little bitty one here and then a much larger one here. So the designer has stated it does not matter which one you do, just choose one and do it consistently. So I am going to recommend that you use the larger stitch, that you work into the larger stitch when you work the single crochet in the back of the bobble. And the reason for that is this little one can be really tough to get into. And so if you're messing around a lot, it could just be a lot easier to mess up your bobble a little bit trying to get into that stitch. And it's a lot easier to just go into this bigger stitch. And since it doesn't really matter, I say pick the easier one. So single crochet in your bobble, that stitch in the back of the bobble, and then you're just going to repeat across. So you're going to work 4 single crochets, 1, and you want to make sure you get those stitches that are right up next to the bobble on either side. 2, 3, and then here's 4. Again, kind of slants upward into the bobble, and then single crochet in the back of that bobble. 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then single crochet in the back of the bobble, 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a single crochet in the back of the bobble. And then when you get to the last bobble, you'll have 4 single crochets remaining until you get to the end of the row. So just single crochet in each of those last 4 stitches. And that is the end of row 5. All right, so at the end of row 5, you're going to have, at least the first time you work this, you'll have this larger swatch of your color B. Then your color C with the bobbles, and then a thin strip of your color B again. So row 6, just going to chain 1 here, and then turn to your back. And then you're just going to work a single crochet in each stitch all the way across. When you get to the end of the row of your row 6, insert your hook into the next stitch, bring your color C up, drape it over your hook, and then yarn over and pull through. Then drop your color B and pick up your color C to do the final yarn over and pull through 2. So again, what that's going to do is it's going to carry the unused color up the edge really tightly here, so that once you get to the end, you shouldn't be able to see much of that carry at all. You won't have a big loop here at the edge. It's just carried almost entirely over its own color each time. So there is going to be an edging to this piece. So if you just want to carry your colors without worrying about carrying them nice and neatly, you can, because there will eventually be an edge there. You just want to be careful not to let them snag or anything in the meantime. All right, so row 7, chain 1, turn to the right side, and then for row 7, we're just going to work a single crochet in each stitch all the way across. And then row 8, chain 1, turn to the wrong side, and work a single crochet in each stitch all the way across. And if you want to neatly carry your color up the edge at the last stitch, just insert your hook into the stitch, bring your color B up and drape it over the hook, and yarn over, pull through 2, then drop your color C and pick up your color B, and do the final yarn over, pull through 2 with that. So at the end of your first row 8, you're going to have your large, so from your clue 2, you'll have the larger section of your color B, your color C rows with the bobble, and then a stripe of color B and a stripe of color C. So then when you repeat this, you're just going to get a stripe of color B, a bobble row, a stripe of color B, a stripe of color C, just over and over and over again. So at the end of your clue 3, obviously you'll have more of the bobble rows, but you should have the bobble rows with a color B stripe on either side, and then a stripe of just a plain stripe of color C in between each of the bobble rows, ending with your color B where you worked rows 1 and 2 one more time, and your color C should be the color that's ready to go for your next clue. So that is how you work clue 3 of the Connote pattern on the CashSilk Sock. So that's it for clue 3. If you have anything else you want to see or anything I didn't cover, just let me know. Happy to do it. Can't guarantee it'll be done quickly, but happy to do it. Thanks. See you for clue 4.